All right, from the mystic to the mysterious, as we head into the stars, little Timmy Seanor is back with the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Little Timmy Seanor hanging on out with us tonight, getting all fangirled by random guy in the chat room right now. It's good to have you here, my friend, as we get you to unmute your mic, and that way you could join us. How you been?
I've been doing great, buddy. Thanks for asking. And just as I predicted, UFOs in the news, this time headlining with, what is this? Aliens? Come on.
Well,
this is getting just better and better every day. I mean, I think, wasn't there a song? I got my Mexican, whoa, alien.
Well, before we even go any further, if we're going to be getting into this, we should say hello, how are you? And hi, and welcome to all agents and agencies from any three-letter agency out there right now. How you doing? It's good to have you listening on in. Remember, give us a call sometime. You already have the phone number. We don't need to give it to you. And remember, some of us can be bought. Yeah, some of us can. All right. Well, now we can continue officially,
this guy,
but aliens, Mexico.
Yeah. Mexican Congress has held a hearing on UFOs featuring purported alien bodies. And so lawmakers heard testimony that, quote, we are not alone in the universe, and saw the alleged remains of non-human beings in an extraordinary hearing, marking the Latin American country's first congressional event on UFOs. And so in the hearing on Tuesday, the Spanish acronym for what we are usually now termed UAP, politicians were shown two artifacts that Mexican journalist and longtime UFO enthusiast Jaime Maussan claimed were the corpses of extraterrestrials. And so the specimens were not related to any life on Earth, Maussan said, and the two tiny bodies displayed in the cases have 3 fingers on each hand and elongated heads. Now, Maussan said that these were recovered in Peru near the ancient Nazca lines in 2017, and he said that they were about 1,000 years old, analyzed through carbon dating process by Mexico's National Autonomous University. And similar such finds in the past have turned out to be the remains of mummified children. However, Maussan said in the first time such evidence has ever been presented, quote, I think there is a clear demonstration that we are dealing with non-human specimens that are not related to any other species in our world, and that all possibilities are open for any scientific institution to investigate it. So it looks like there is more information. Now, we did have representation there also, and Dave, from the United States, and I was wanting to kind of kick this over to you because I know we talked about this briefly, and it's definitely in the headlines. It's getting a lot of buzz on Twitter, and now we know these mummies had been debunked in the past and potentially were animal remains, partially llama or some other kind of animal parts, kind of put together to look like an alien body. Now, Dave, I'm going to kick this over to you to talk a little bit more about this representation to Mexican Congress. But then I have more to this story that I don't think is really out there in public purview. So I'll kick it over to you for now.
Well, there have been tests on these bodies. And number one, the one thing that I found odd about this is these alleged bodies aren't even from Mexico. They are from around the Nazca lines in Peru. So what does that have to do with Mexican ufology? Number one. Number two, Jaime Maussan has been hanging his hat on these, even though science has debunked the theory that they are not of extraterrestrial descent. They are, as you put it, people from thousands of years ago who have been deformed, decapitated, and really made up to look like puppets. Okay. And this isn't something that, like why he would do that. I mean, he has been a trusted journalist in Mexico for decades. And why he would hang his hat on such a fallacy, it's ridiculous. But like Dr. Michael Masters said when we talked to him in hour one about this, the good news is the conversation in Mexico has gone public. Okay, and has started. That is the good news. The sad news is around the world, this is putting a lot of egg on the study of UFOs. Once again, I mean, it just seems like every time we take steps forward in this field, something slaps us 10 steps back again.
Yeah. No,
And this is another one of those.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and if these potential alien bodies do turn out to be something else, then yeah, it does potentially set the UFO field back. Now, as I stated before, the United States did have representation at the Mexican Congress. Lawmakers also heard from former US Navy pilot Ryan Graves, who has participated in US congressional hearings about his personal experience with UAP and the stigma around reporting such sightings. Now, we know since this took place, there was a new, uh, I think it was a tweet perhaps, or something made public by Ryan Graves separating himself from this event. And Dave, I would like to talk a little bit further about that because it kind of says a little bit more, perhaps, about the validity of this alien, the mummified alien bodies that were presented. And if you watch the video, it did look like he seemed a little disappointed that this was being presented there. Now, I'm not sure if he knew beforehand or not, but that is definitely, I think, irrelevant. Now, him separating himself from that event in itself. And so, how do you kind of feel about that aspect of this event?
This is where, as a journalist and as a professional, you got to be a little bit careful because you never want to put down a fellow colleague. Okay, but sometimes you have to call out an inaccuracy. And I think Ryan Graves did the right thing by coming out on X and stating that he had made a mistake and that he should have known better, should have listened to people who were in the know. But the problem that we have, Tim, is there is a great divide in ufology. You have the people who have, who are just pro disclosure, who've come out of the woodwork since 2017 and will wave any disclosure flag in your face. They don't care. And they're just there to see the process move forward. Then you have your skeptics who, no matter if an alien landed in front of them in a UFO and said, "Hi, my name is Orc," they wouldn't believe it. Then you have old school ufology, which is pre TTSA, where people have been studying this subject and some giving their lives to this subject for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years and have been working for the betterment of making this a a unique yet social construct. Then you get the government side of everything. The scientists, the fighter pilots, those who are connected to alphabet agencies who don't really like ufology because they can't discern it and the different groups that are available. So they just lump it all into one. And they're like, no, 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 you guys stay over there. We don't want you. You guys are tainted. You believe in aliens. You believe in hybrid children. You believe in tinfoil hat conspiracies. I'm the real guy because I'm a fighter pilot, or I'm the real woman because I work for an alphabet agency. And I think what happens is a lot of these people go back to our show with Dr. Richard Hoffman. where he basically said he wishes people in ufology would get the hell out of the way. Okay, paraphrasing what he said, but that's exactly what he said. And you get these people, Tim, who they are so anti-ufology, they don't want to be associated with UFOs, that they're going to be put in predicaments like this. And let's
Yeah.
not forget, Ryan Graves, okay, God bless him for being an American fighter pilot, being a veteran and everything like that, okay? Takes a very smart person to fly a fighter jet. Okay, they just don't give that job to dummies. But he is following that example of ufology. Ew, you stay over there. I'm up here. I'm dealing with the real science behind it. I'm dealing with the real issues of pilot safety. But let's remember, he's also got a couple of groups that are in this disclosure for dollars business. This is a business move for him. And he had the wool pulled over his eyes because he knew better by not associating with UFO people.
I think you nailed it there because he's all about UAP, which as we have discussed is something you can pick up on radar and potentially see in film. And that's one thing. But he got mixed up here with UFOs, and that's a totally different thing. And it can be a little scary in that crowd because there's tons of woo. But I'm about to deliver you a little bit of that woo because there may be another layer to this onion. And Mausan may not have delivered this information at the time, but I know he definitely has been taking a lot of heat. And maybe this is to come. And if you were to dig a little deeper into the heredity of the mummies and their story, there may be a little more to it, such as a story that comes from a credible source that the uh, archaeologists that discovered the mummies themselves had those mummies taken from him by Americans at the time, believed to be government or military, and then promised them back. And when they were delivered back, these were the mummies delivered back. And they weren't necessarily the same mummies. So refer to the Santilli case with the alien autopsy video, where initially, I believe it was 1995, where an anonymous military retired person supposedly delivered an alien autopsy video to Ray Santilli. And turns out that this was a recreation video of a real alien autopsy, potentially. And so are we seeing something similar to that historically here? And if they go beyond the DNA of these and look into the history of those mummies, will this truth potentially be real and be discovered? Dave, now this is another layer to be considered in this story that really hasn't surfaced yet. What are your
Well,
thoughts?
I mean, there's going to be stories over this. If they weren't the real bodies, why would you show them? Okay. Why would you take that chance of embarrassing yourself in this subject?
Well, Jaime's the perfect person potentially because he's taken the heat this far in his career. And like I said, if they looked into the history and the validity of the story I just told you, perhaps they could find the person that discovered them.
No, I understand what you're
And
saying.
yeah,
I'm understanding what you're saying. Okay. It's this isn't like an American press conference where they are, you know, gonna trot out a piece of metamaterial. Okay. This isn't like that. You're trying to put the world on notice that you have alien bodies, even though you don't know you know they're not alien bodies. Then you invite down a fighter pilot who is looking for disclosure for dollars, okay, because all UAPs are bad, and we now have to get funding from governments of the world to protect our airspaces because the UAPs are coming. No, they're not coming. They've always been here. Okay, because China, Russia, and even the United States sends a lot of balloons up for recon all over the world. It's a cheap way to get intelligence. Now, if we're talking UFOs, well, big difference there. So which one is it? Which one is the problem? All right. This has just been a complete schmozzle of an event. And I think it looks good on the people. And the sad part about it is Ryan Graves, the fighter pilot, is probably going to ignore ufology even more now. Spaced Out Radio and the UFO Report continue with little Timmy Seanor, our resident Timbit. Coming up next, oh God, another NASA hearing. Yeah. Just get ready to plug your ears and go la 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 when they get to the microphone. Timmy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. NASA. You know, I love talking NASA with you.
Oh.
It's your favorite 4-letter word.
No, it's not.
We can say it on radio, though.
Yeah. Instead of using the F word every now and again, I'm going to use the word NASA. What the NASA is going on here?
It's perfect. Oh, I love it. You should do that. That can be your signature from now on. Is just that's perfect. Yeah. I love the conspiracy theory. It's so much fun. I had to toss the grenade in there because I feel like Jaime's getting kicked all over this place, and at least this side of the story needs to surface and bubble to the surface in his defense.
There is nothing to defend.
I'm not saying it's real. I'm just saying
he made a mockery out of ufology.
Yeah, don't bring not real evidence to the table, or at least have the full story if that's what it is.
Right?
Yeah. Bad delivery. And the quote doesn't help. His quote didn't help.
Random guy's wearing his NASA t-shirt tonight in bed.
That's hot.
Yeah.
I have a NASA cap that he should match it up with. Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
That dude rides hot. He rides hot.
We miss him around here.
We do. He's like a backbeat. He's always still kind of there. You know he's there watching. He probably knows what I had for dinner. Still.
Probably. You know what I had for dinner? Hot wings.
I do. Oh, yes. You are such a lucky guy. You and your son just go buck wild.
Hey, man, we're batching it one final night here. It's Wings Wednesday. We got to go, man.
It just makes sense.
We got to go. So him and I went and pigged out on wings and iced tea.
I love it.
And we came home very satiated.
Yeah, man. That is good. You guys have a tradition starting now. I love it.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
It's like right out of American Graffiti, you guys. Love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, it's not Lucas, but Spielberg's series is coming out the 27th of this month. And we're probably not going to make it in time for live show, so I might as well tell your audience about it. They probably already know about it. How can they not? So Spielberg has a 4-part series coming on the UFO topic. And the documentary, it's going to be called Encounters. It's going to be here the 27th. And it's going to... So, yeah. Let's see.
Oh, Tim Mossman giving me hell here. You don't drink iced tea with wings. I'm in the lower 48. Well, I'm in the upper 10.
Lower 48. What does that mean? You drink ranch with it. Ranch dressing or something.
Yeah,
I think it's blue cheese on the East Coast.
I had a combination of 10 hot wings, their hottest ones they have, and honey garlic.
The smell in the studio tonight, folks, must
Oh,
be rampant.
no.
No? Your garlic-flavored microphone.
No.
Sorry.
It's yeah, honey garlic's good. Mm-hmm. When are you
I
coming up
miss
for another ice cap?
Oh, man, it's a long way for a coffee, but I like Random Guy's statement here, UFO jokes. I mean, he lays down UFO jokes, this guy. Plenty of them.
Mhm.
I wanna see his stand-up. Oh, wait, wasn't supposed to say that he does stand-up.
I said nothing.
That was my bad. I let it
I said
slip.
nothing.
But I'm excited for this 4-part series.
Mhm. Hey,
So yeah, it's
give me a
go
few
ahead.
seconds here.
Do your thing.
Thank you tonight to Debster, Simon, Anita, Jeremy, Tim Mothman and his goatee, T-Bone, Trot Dog, Kevin, W. Decker ×2, and Boo the Beagle for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate it. And you know what I'd love you to do? I'd love you to all join the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's available on Patreon. We are up to 20 members. Woohoo! 20 members. We are growing. And every day I'm going to try and start posting in there for all you guys. And it's going to be like random thoughts and everything. But eventually, once we get used to it, it'll form out into something cool. Here we go, everyone. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the newswire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us in our Space Travelers Club on Patreon. Here we go, continuing with the UFO report. And wow, big deal. Yay. NASA. Yes. A 4-letter bad word in the world of UFOs is coming out with their $100,000 report about what they've learned about these UAPs that are flying around, because Lord knows after 60 years of going to space and everything in between, they've learned nothing about any of their aircraft being followed, any of their pilots or astronauts having reports over private microphones that have been recorded. Thank you, Darcy Weir, for bringing that out. It's ridiculous. And so we wait and see how ignorant and stupid this latest NASA report is going to be, Tim. I'll leave it to you now.
How do you feel, Dave? We can't tell. That's great. No, but I get it. I get it. A lot of hype behind it too, especially coming from the head of NASA before that, with all of the talk of extraterrestrial life out there. And then now it's been almost a year, or almost exactly a year, and we know that this long-awaited press conference on findings from NASA study team tasked to investigate the phenomenon will take place tomorrow. And so NASA's independent team of 16 scientific, aeronautic, and data analytic experts will share a report of their understanding of the what they're calling undefinable and undetectable objects, and the findings of their scientific inquiry into the subject. So rather than read this article, we can just consider the fact that before this took place, we know that in their public forum, the 16 scientists themselves stated that they weren't even able to agree on what UAP was and what they were being tasked to study. And so I find that also that probably took quite a bit of time, and so they had to assess what that was. It's kind of like giving a bunch of professional hockey players crayons and then asking them to recreate the Mona Lisa. It's basically the wrong tools for an impossible task handed to the wrong group of people. And so it was set up to fail, obviously. And so we can expect more of what we saw beforehand, which was what they said was simple trigonometry to solve some of the military videos that were considered or UAP in this case. And so we can probably expect more of that. I expect that we come back with a lot of data and analyzing of the reports that they've been given, the ones that they were able to make public. And it's kind of disappointing, Dave. Now, I understand that you may wave this past, but this will actually go forward, kind of underlying the tone of everything we see coming forward, not just from NASA, but probably from every government and official entity coming forward. So I think we should pay attention. I do feel like even though we've heard a lot from the Navy, obviously these are the people that are getting the reports to NASA. Now we've spoken even to people that believe that most of the activity takes place in the ocean. So we're getting the reports from the Navy, the Air Force is silent, Space Force is silent. So they're probably getting their data from the military reports that are public and the ones that we've seen and are potentially debunkable. So let's just expect a lot of that. And it is, Dave, disappointing, really, to say the least, if that's the route it goes. Now, I'd like to give you a more positive potential, but again, I don't know if we have enough time.
There is no positive potential here. I'm shocked to hear those blasphemous words out of your mouth. I
Well,
really,
here's the
I
thing.
really am.
Consider for a moment that they did find some things that they were unable to resolve, even one. If there's
Yep.
one that stumped the NASA scientists, then we're golden.
The point that I'm getting at, Tim, is if NASA truly cared about this subject, they wouldn't be playing the public for fools. Okay. And that's exactly what they're doing. Yes, they are held under the military arm. I get that. I can appreciate that. But to stand up with a straight face and lie to the American and world public about everything that they have recorded since Mercury and Gemini and Apollo, it is blasphemous that they even have a voice in this subject. To quote the final line from Billy Madison, okay, we are all dumber for listening to NASA speak on the UFO subject and that we're actually paying attention. The sad part about it is there is going to be people out there with their big signs of go NASA, rock and roll NASA. No. Darcy Weir, okay, if you haven't gone on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime and watched Darcy Weir's films on NASA and the UFO cover up, you are doing yourself a disservice for doing that. I don't promote a lot of movies and okay, and I'm not saying this because I did a lot of voiceovers for it. Okay, I'm putting that out there for just honesty and integrity that I did some voiceover work for these films. But what blew me away while I was recording those voiceovers, Tim, was the fact that I was listening and reading actual astronaut and NASA test pilot voices and their reports, reading their reports about anomalous objects flying beside them. Take the X-15 pilot, who is at 315,000 feet, flying at about Mach 7 to Mach 10. and there's an aircraft following him. We know China and Russia did not have that technology back then. And he was being chased by a UFO and followed by a UFO. You can hear other reports of down in Houston where the people in Houston are saying, take that to the emergency channel. This isn't for this channel. Take it to the emergency channel. Okay? NASA has done nothing but lie to the American public and the world public about this and what they know. And Bill Nelson, the director of NASA, the former astronaut, the former senator, should be ashamed of himself for putting the American public through that lie. And it's a waste of money. Yes, it's only $100,000. Okay. And it's also a shame that there hasn't been a single reporter to ask NASA, what is in your closet? What are you hiding? What about this audio that Darcy Weir has, or that's all over YouTube or all over the internet from your own astronauts who are talking about these UFOs? Okay. Was Dr. Edgar Mitchell a liar? Were other astronauts a liar? Liars, pardon me. It's disgusting. And I think NASA, like, it bothers me that we even have to talk about this subject. So no matter what they spin out of it, all right, because there's always a spin. That's the political game. But whatever they spin out of it, it's about covering their own asses to make sure that people do not ask, what are you hiding, NASA? What have you been hiding for years, decades, half a century plus about the UFO subject?
That's right. Now, we know that the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies came back pretty vocally last time NASA came out with the details trying to debunk in rebuttal. And hopefully we would see something like that come again if we did see some debunking come from NASA. But I would like to consider at this time that we know that just in July, House of Representatives held that congressional hearing with testimony from key witness David Grush and Ryan Graves. And now we know that also just days ago, Mexico's first public congressional hearing about UAPs with extraterrestrial potential mummified entities being showcased there, amongst other details. Not just that, that was the highlight of the event. But knowing that these pushes are happening, do you feel that even with some negative reporting from NASA, it really makes a difference in this current strong push of transparency from governments and whistleblower potential evidence coming forward in other countries, and more evidence to come with more hearings from our own members of the public, the scientific world, and going to be brought forward to our own US Congress?
Well, obviously that's what's going to happen, right? I mean, they have to save face on anything that kind of goes on here. And unfortunately, it's the public who loses. The public totally loses on this. All right. And what baffles me, and I don't know how you feel about this, Tim, what baffles me about it is how many people in the UFO community buy into this crap. We're going to sit there and listen to that report, and we are going to be like, are you serious right now? Are you, like, is this a joke? Is this really, if it was any other subject besides UFOs, the public would be incensed over this. Okay? They would be pulling their hair out saying, how stupid do you think we are? And people should be offended.
Indeed. Indeed. And we know that NASA commissioned this independent group to come up with their own results with the information that they were given. And I think that they were also encouraged to source other information outside of NASA. But it'll be interesting to see results and see how they sourced it. But it definitely goes kind of into the next story that I wanted to talk about. And if
I
that's
want to say, can I say one more thing
please do before I move that in.
on this? Okay.
Yeah.
When you go on social media, especially X or Facebook, and watch the reactions to this, when you see people supporting this, and you're going to see a lot of the big names in ufology saying, way to go, NASA, good report. Okay. All you need to tweet is shame on you. Shame on you for supporting a lie. Shame on you for supporting this government conglomerate who is hiding what they know in photographs, in videos, in audio, and in reports of what the truth is. Shame on you. Because until the public starts calling people out for their BS, we're more worried about whether or not Lou Elizondo, okay, ran the ATIP program or OSAP or whatever the hell they want to call it. We're more worried about David Grush, whether or not he's a good whistleblower or not. Okay, we're worried, how credible he is after a brutal media attack on him and his own personal health. Okay, that seems to stir things up. And yet, with NASA blatantly lying to everybody in the American public, that's where people should be offended. We know they have the photos. We know they have the video. We know they have the audio recordings. We know they have the reports written. It's all public. It's all been made public over the years. It's right there. Once again, go to Netflix, go to Hulu, go to anywhere where Darcy Weir's films on this are. Okay? He has it right there for you. How if you have an interest in ufology, how his videos don't have 1 million plus hits on it is baffling, because it's right there. So I challenge our listeners that when this NASA report comes out and you see people out there who are cheering them on, tell them shame on you for supporting the lie and the cover up that NASA has been doing. I'm sorry. I don't like to get political like that, but we should be offended because they're treating us like we're dumb. And I don't like being treated like I'm a dummy.
No, I think it needed to be said. And this is a great forum to do that, honestly. And so we'll have to see what this report looks like and how they came to their conclusions. But I have no expectations. Dave, I'm with you. So we'll have to see what happens.
What do you think a random guy putting up in the chat room? I think we have at minimum assets, if not a command center of sorts on Mars. That's interesting for a random guy to put out there. Is he playing us?
No.
Or is this one of his allegedlys? Trust me, bros.
Oh, definitely trust him. Definitely trust him. But, we were talking here about being stonewalled publicly. And it sounds like even in San Marino, on my final story for the night, we had high hopes for the UN to have representation there discussing the UAP topic. The plan had called for San Marino to submit a proposal of the creation of a new UN office tasked with the preparation of a periodic world conference. And this conference was meant to assess and foster the scientific research of UFO phenomenon. Now, unfortunately, the San Marino government is not stable right now. And so they were unable to put this and establish this office at this present time. And I know, Dave, we had some high hopes here with some American representation there trying to push this forward. But it looks like San Marino, Italy, will be unable to implement that UN action for now, at least. And it's a little bit disappointing, but it does come at a really volatile time across the whole planet when we know that this topic is definitely something that's not just a US issue, it's a worldwide issue. And so it's unfortunate to see this stonewalling taking place in that country. And I know that Americans were ready to take part.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of countries, and Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon worked very hard on that. Okay. And there was a lot of talk that San Marino was going to be a big push forward for any type of disclosure movement. You know, it's too bad politics once again getting away. And it's it's sad. It's sad because San Marino is one of those countries, even though it's tiny, it still has a very, very democratic process where we don't hold secrets. That's what they're famous for. That's why ufology was moving over there. And to see the upheaval right now, it's a little tough to take. But we should have also expected that when it comes to this subject. You know, no matter what happens, Tim, this is still doesn't matter if a UFO landed at 24 Sussex Drive, which is the home of the Canadian Prime Minister. It wouldn't mean a thing. What means everything is that UFO or that contact coming from the United States of America and the President of the United States, whoever that may be. That's the green light to this being a reality. Not San Marino, not Mexico, not Canada or the UK. It's the United States' issue. It really is.
I mean, you can look at it that way. I mean, it's more global. Now, I see everyone kind of looking to the US to kind of take the lead on this, but we also see the US really, as far as leadership goes, squashing it. There came out with no support of any of the whistleblowers, whether they were military or not. And anytime there's a chance at science, they push it off their desk because we know Kirkpatrick had no interest in this topic and he cannot wait to get out of this office. Right. And so it's not something that anybody really wants to cover right now. And the fact is that more and more evidence just keeps piling up. According to the people analyzing the information, there's a plethora of data.
Nice use of the word plethora. That was an additional plethora we weren't expecting tonight, Tim. Great job on the UFO report. Thanks for letting me rant, buddy. I appreciate that. And we want to say a big thank you to all of you for tuning us on in. As we say, we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yeah, we got room for them too. Good night.